Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll give it a few more minutes for everyone else to come into the Zoom. Hey, Russ.
Hey, what's up, Allegra?
Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll give it another minute and then we'll get going. Since we have opened this webinar to not only CANY members, if you're not a CANY member and you want to put in the chat where you're Zooming in from, that'd be great. And also, I'll give my follow-up information if you'd like to learn more about CANY as well.
Okay.
So my name is Allegra, and I work with the Cannabis Association of New York. Thank you so much for joining today's Business Solutions for New York Cannabis Operators webinar with Headset. We developed this webinar series to engage stakeholders across the supply chain and empower them with a robust offering of ancillary products to support their growing business needs. I'm pleased to introduce Russ Powden, Senior Account Executive at Headset, who will share market insights from the August New York Retail Report and demonstrate the importance of implementing data tools into your business practice. Headset is a leading provider of cannabis market intelligence, offering real-time data and insights to dispensaries, producers, and brands across the US and Canada. With a network of over 3,500 retail partners, Headset helps businesses in New York optimize inventory, track sales, and make data-driven decisions to stay competitive in a fast-growing industry. The platform provides actionable analytics that power smarter pricing, inventory management, and customer and consumer-driven strategies, helping cannabis businesses enhance profitability and drive long-term success. Trusted by thousands of cannabis and ancillary businesses, Headset is at the forefront of cannabis data solutions. That being said, we are very excited to share Headset's August New York Retail Report exclusively with this group. Please drop any questions for myself or Russ in the Zoom chat as we move through the presentation, and I'll share follow-up information for both of us as well. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Allegra. Hey, everybody. I appreciate the introduction, Allegra, and all the help from CANY. Really stoked to be here to present to you all today. Yeah, I'll get into it. I'll share my screen, start the presentation. We'll be going over, like Allegra mentioned, that New York Retail Report, and some ways retail, dispensary, and delivery operators in the state of New York can use the retailer tool specifically or the retail benchmarking reports to help gain and maintain that competitive advantage in the state. So yeah, excited to be here with you all. Give me 1 second to share my screen. I'm actually in Manhattan today. You'll notice kind of like a generic hotel background. So I don't have my two monitors. I'm in town visiting some dispensary operators, have a little event to go to tonight. So bear with me if it's a little more jerky than it normally would be if I had my second monitor, but cool. So today, what I'll be presenting to the group is a little spotlight on New York retail. So Allegra, great introduction. I'll go into a little bit more detail here in a second. The main agenda for today's call is quick introduction. I'll spend the most of my presentation going through the August 2024 New York Retail Report with y'all. We built this report maybe 2-3 days after the month ended. I know we're a little bit in September now. Data's still super relevant. So we'll go through that. We'll also go through how the retailer tool from Headset can help with dispensary and delivery operations. And then I'll take questions here at the end. A little bit about me. My name is Russell Powden, for those of you who I have not met before. I'm the East Coast account executive for retail and wholesale at Headset. I've been with Headset, in March, it will be 6 years. I've worked across cannabis supply chain on different coasts. So worked in dispensaries, worked in cultivation, worked in post-harvest and sales fulfillment. I joined Headset. Headset's definitely been my longest stint at one place in cannabis. And the reason being is because in a lot of those roles, once I saw what Headset was doing, I was like, dang, this could really helped me in a lot of the piecing reports of together I'm currently doing. So that's why I joined, been helping folks in New York, brands and dispensaries connect as the market's been opening up, and been really excited to work with CANY, excited to present this information to you all today. Like Allegra said, we haven't gone through the August retail report with any group before, so you all are the first ones, and appreciate you carving out the time to join me for the presentation today. Real quick about where we build the benchmarking report, because we can build it for our dispensary partners. Today, we'll be going over a general 2024 August report for the market as a whole. Headset's got 6 different main tools that we provide as a cannabis technology provider. Retailer is the one that I'll be focusing on today. So retailer works alongside, I think it's 32 different point of sale providers. We help, like Allegra mentioned, thousands of dispensaries across North America. And in New York, specifically, the retailer tool I've been helping with inventory, marketing, and employee analytics. So those are the 3, I guess, departments, if you want to call it, where retailer will help provide improved analytics alongside your chosen point of sale. One question before we get into the report is, I get this all the time, is, what's the difference between retailer and the point of sale? Are they the same? Retailer is not a point of sale provider, but we work with a lot of awesome point of sale providers because we provide bolt-on analytics for their clients. So what does a point of sale do? Keeps inventory organized, collects CRM and loyalty program customer data, employee management information, building reports and analytics. And then what retailer does, I'll stop my video so I can present a little bit faster. Won't have as much lag time here in the hotel, but retailer is much better at things like providing quicker inventory management, reordering support, connecting with brands so you can work more collaboratively on your inventory. Sales staff, or back when I was doing it, I know some folks still call it bud tending, but back when I was bud tending, looking at sales staff or bud tender performance, discounting analysis, which we'll start to see more and more of, hopefully here in New York, market benchmarking, which I'll get into a little bit more later in my presentation, and also things like demand planning, more in-depth marketing, customer and basket analysis. Just so everyone's aware, if you're not already using retailer or you want to learn more, I'm happy to set time offline to go into retailer in more detail with people specifically. I won't go too deep into the retailer tool today because we'll focus on the benchmarking report. But just so everyone on the call is aware, what's available to New York operators on the dispensary and delivery side. Retailer Pulse, it's totally free. It's complimentary alongside of your point of sale, as long as you're working with one of those point of sale providers that we integrate with, which is most of the major ones. Retailer Premium is a paid add-on to Retailer Pulse. And then the retailer benchmarking report that we'll be going through today, you could customize that so you can see your store versus the market and how you stack up. Today, I'll be looking at the market as a whole. So there's quite a lot of information just in Retailer Pulse alone, you all. There is, I think, 20-something dashboards to help with connecting to brands, inventory, daily summaries, sales data downloads, things like that. Okay, so New York Retail Report, August 2024. I actually have it loaded up in this other tab, so I'm just going to hop into it. We created this report headset in conjunction with our friends over at Cannabis Association of New York. So again, appreciate the time to be able to present this information to CANY members and just interested folks in the New York market in general. I've been working in the New York market since the medical days. It's been quite exciting to see all the stuff going on and all the changes and volatility and ways folks can improve and drive more revenue in the state. So what we'll be going through is August 2024. We'll be going through executive summary, store performance tiers, revenue by tier, looking at the different efficiency indexes, We'll also dive into some growth rate analysis, including store KPIs. And then finally, we'll look at what we've been seeing in August 2024 in New York when it comes to pricing and assortment, including basket analysis trends, margin trends, and category share of sales. So yeah, let's hop into it. A little bit about the New York market as of late. So it's shown really pretty incredible growth in the last year. As of August 2024, we're seeing total sales reach approximately 75.8 million. And that's 340.7% year over year sales growth, and unit growth just over 366% year over year. The month over month growth rates that we're seeing, y'all, we're seeing like 10.8% month over month growth rate in sales and 10.7% in units sold, and that's from July to August 2024. So we can see, even though there's a higher average item price than we see other places in the US, there's clearly a very strong consumer base willing to engage with the newly open recreational dispensaries of the state of New York. So real quick, we'll look a little bit more at a few key insights pulled from this report. One of them being market dynamics. The next, we'll look at performance disparity, shifting consumer behavior, product mix evolution, and then finally, the profitability trends that we've been seeing. So we can go further into ways to use the retailer tool to dive into these sections. But again, we're going to be looking at the market as a whole here today. So first, when it comes to store performance tiers, just so everyone's aware what you're looking at as we get into it, Headset will segment retail stores into 4 distinct performance tiers based on total monthly revenue. So we'll look at the elite tier, high-performing tier, the mid-range tier, and the emerging tier. So the reason we do this, as with all benchmarking, it allows us to benchmark and compare performance from similarly sized retailers in the state. And from the sample size we pulled for this particular report, it's a pretty even spattering, you'll see below. Okay, so just so everyone's aware, if I'm repeating stuff, folks on the call already know, my apologies, bear with me for a second, but sales efficiency index, for those interested, it's a metric. It's comparing the share of sales to the share of store count in the sample, and that's to assess how effectively a tier of stores are converting their presence into revenue. So if the index value, it's greater than 1, then that tier is more efficient than the average. If it's less than 1, it suggests the store is less efficient, generating lower sales per store compared to the market. So I'll pause on the graph here. We'll start with the elite tier. So we're looking at monthly revenue and transaction count versus the median. And for the elite tier, in New York, for August, the median revenue for monthly revenue was $1,085,707 with a median ticket count of just over 16,000. We can see a very high sales efficiency index for that grouping of stores of 2.27. If we come down a little and go to the high performers, I'll pause here on the graph for a second. Again, we're looking at monthly revenue, y'all, and then transaction count versus the median. And so for those high performers, we can see a median revenue of $584,614 monthly and a median ticket count of 9,111 with the sales efficiency index little shy of 1 at 0.88. Moving down to the mid-range tier. So I'll expand this out a little bit. We can see that monthly revenue and transaction count versus the median. And we see that the median monthly revenue for this tier is $361,290 with a median ticket count of 5,250 and a sales efficiency index of 0.54. And then for emerging, that median monthly revenue for the emerging locations, we can see drops to 154,660 with a median ticket count of 2,825 and a sales efficiency index of 0.25. Next, we'll start at growth rate analysis. So I'll just spotlight this so we can see it a little bit better. There we go. Apologies. That's one of the downsides of me not being on my other monitor. So we got it pulled up. So this data, it's revealing a pretty diverse landscape of year-over-year growth rates. It's looking at growth rates comparing April 2024 with March 2024 for month over month, and April 2023 with April 2024 for year over year. So the high-performing tiers that you can see here, they are exhibiting a really robust median year-over-year growth rate of just shy of 64%. But conversely, the elite tier, which actually it's representing the highest revenue earners, you'll notice on this particular graph that it's showing a median year-over-year decline of 12.5%. So what that shows me is that even the top tier retailers, they're not immune to some of the market fluctuations we've been seeing. It may be due to saturation, increased competition. Obviously, we see more and more stores opening up. Mid-range and emerging tiers, they showed significant year-over-year declines of 31% and 38.6% respectively. So we do see some of the smaller and mid-sized retailers facing some struggle in maintaining growth. But you will notice that despite the negative year-over-year growth, y'all, the month-over-month growth rates are positive across the board. So emerging retailers, they're showing the highest month-over-month growth at 21.3%. And this could indicate seasonal uptick, potential recovery. And what's interesting is the high-performing tier, the recent month-over-month growth rate, it's got strong performance. So there's a lot of competitive dynamics that could help develop better strategies for retailers. We can definitely help with that. We've seen ways that have worked well for folks in different markets over the last 9+ years. Headset's been around. And there's struggling tiers, but there's also high growing tiers as well. So I'm going to dive into store KPIs next. This is kind of a big graph here, so I'm going to pause. This heat map, the way it's broken out, it's visualizing that year-over-year growth metric for each store tier. And you'll notice, everybody, that it's categorized into 3 KPIs or key performance indicators. So there's revenue, there's ticket count, and there's average ticket. You'll notice each row in this heat map, it's representing a different store tier. So you have the elite, emerging, high performing, mid-range. And whether you're looking at this vertically or horizontally, you can do different analysis here. So for example, horizontally, you can compare how these different KPIs are performing within a single tier. For example, up here, we can see revenue, tickets, and average ticket for the elite tier. Or if you're looking vertically, you can compare how those same KPIs perform across different tiers. So managers, decision makers, you can use this to identify trends, do some strategic planning, whether that be with cross-selling, upselling, customer retention, inventory, and things of that nature. All right. And then coming up next is pricing and assortment. So across pricing and assortment, we'll go into basket analysis trends, you all, and then I'll go into margin, and then I'll go into category share of sales. So there's 3 different parts that I'll take a second to go through. The report's not super long, so we should be able to get through this fairly quickly. All right, so highlighting these graphs here, we're looking in the top left at average units per basket. Average basket size is going to be in the top right, everyone, and then average item price in the bottom left and average tickets per store. So this is looking at the New York market over the last 12 months. We can see the average units per basket. It's dropped a little bit. It was at 2.5 units in August 2023. It's decreased to 2.1 units by August 2024. The average basket size has dropped fairly significantly from 97.89 in August 2023 to 74.12 average basket size in August 2024. But keep in mind, New York still has the second highest average basket size of all of the, I think it's like 14 or 16 markets in North America, well, in the US that Headset is covering. It had the highest average basket size up until May. At that time, Ohio and New York flipped. So Ohio's got a higher average basket size now. But keep in mind, if you're looking at markets like Washington, like Michigan, like Oregon, those have a much lower average basket size than the New York market. I think the lowest is Washington or Michigan, and it hovers around $30. So quite a big difference, quite a much higher average basket size in New York was 74.12. Oftentimes that average basket size can drop due to the average item price falling, but you'll notice in the bottom left, everyone, that the average item price has remained relatively stable. So if you look back in August of 2023, it started at $38.66. It's decreased to $35.83 by August 24. But we can see that product values remain pretty consistent. What's really cool to see is you'll notice in the bottom right, the average ticket per store just take off. A lot more transactions. Now, we all know, or everyone on the call knows different variables, why that could be. You know, stores shutting down, more customers entering the market, more customers getting educated about what's available in their local areas, but still a staggering rise in tickets per store. So it went from, in August 2023, 8,440 average ticket per store. And it was at, I'm sorry, in August 2023, it was at 6,525. It rose to 8,440 by August 2024. Next, we'll go into margin. And this has been really awesome to see. The margin over the last 6 months has increased a lot. So starting at 51.11% in February, you'll notice it's increased steadily every single month. And as of August, it got to 54.42% margin. When we see that in other markets over time, this is a really great indicator of long-term market profitability trends. So that's definitely something to be aware of in New York. Margin by category. So we see, I call them the 5 core categories: concentrates, vapor pen, flower, edible, pre-rolls. All these are maintaining a much higher margin than the average of 53%. You'll notice concentrates and vapor pens stand out. They have a significantly higher margin than the average at 58.6 and 56.1% respectively, you all. So these core categories are offering the highest margin. And there's ways that we can help attract more consumers, increase overall market share in these high margin categories. But pretty cool to see that the core 5 all are above average right now in New York. Final graph I'll go to here is this category analysis. So for everyone on the call, what we're looking at here is category share of total sales and AIP, or average item price. So we can see that the flower category, leading the market, as with all markets in New York, it commands 35% of total sales with an average item price of $52.14. And that indicates strong consumer preference in the New York market, despite that mid-range price point. Vapor pens are second with 27% of total sales and a slightly higher average item price. And then you'll notice that pre-rolls are capturing 19% of the market, even with that lower average item price of $22.82. Edibles right now, they're capturing 13% of total sales with an average item price of $26.85. So some opportunities for growing revenue here for the retail and delivery folks. You could focus on increasing the market share of those higher AIP products. You could expand product line in these categories, or just introduce premium options. Could also capture more consumer spending. Okay, so going from category share of sales, we're going to hop back into ways you can use retailers. So with the retailer tool, you can use things like the benchmarking dashboard to see how you're performing versus the rest of the market. So a lot of people will use this to say, hey, you know, I have a lot of brands that I've been working with, but there's so many new brands in New York that have entered the market. You know, who's doing well? And not just with stores that use my point of sale, but just who's doing well in the market as a whole. So within the retailer tool, you can use that benchmarking dashboard to see new brands, to see how you're stacking up when it comes to category growth across the different categories in your store. You can use the benchmarking dashboard to understand sales and pricing changes, and then also discounting changes across categories. Another way people use the retailer tool is to dive into basket overview. So you can analyze your baskets to better understand things like the composition of baskets at your store. You know, when someone comes in and buys edibles, what's their average basket size and how much money are they devoting to other products in that basket? And then from there, we can see, well, what other products attach well? What other categories attach well? You can use the basket overview to better understand your basket growth over time. Or for the marketers out there, say you're trying to increase basket penetration in your pre-roll category to increase basket size over time. You can use that basket overview to better understand that as well. One big thing I've been helping a lot of dispensary and delivery operators in New York with lately is cross-sell and upsell opportunities. So inventory, I think, is the most immediate way that we can help reduce product locked up in the back, but then looking at where those cross-sell and upsell opportunities lie. I always use the McDonald's example. I know they don't, well, I haven't been to McDonald's in a while, but they don't supersize stuff anymore. But do you want fries with that? Do you want to supersize that, right? Classic ways a big franchise like McDonald's increase their average ticket over time. The same thing can be applied to cannabis retail. And with the retailer tool, the benchmarking report, things like that, you can quickly spot opportunities for cross-sell and upsell, which is harder to spot as you get more and more customers. So we see these average tickets increasing greatly over time. One way to stay on top of that is quickly figuring out, okay, well, we have all these folks coming in more. Let's figure out how to retain those customers. Let's figure out how to increase their basket size by providing them product that aligns well with what they're looking for. Common combinations is another thing that stores in New York can focus on. Right now, I see a lot of big time customers that have maybe lapsed in how frequently they come back to the store, or their average basket is high, but they haven't been back in a long time. Another way that retail operators can help improve that, whether it be retention or increased basket size, is better understanding, okay, when someone comes in and buys a certain product at my store based on sales, let's say in the last 30 days, what are the other categories that attach well? One example I can use, when I was a bud tender back in the day, I really wanted to do well and move up in the organization I was in. I had no insight into sales analytics to figure out how to increase my average basket size as a bud tender. One way I could have done that is with these common combinations. You know, if someone's coming in buying an edible, and I know based on sales in the last month that 20% of the time when someone's getting an edible, they're also getting a pre-roll, I'm probably going to offer a pre-roll to most folks at the point of purchase. You know, 1 out of 10 might agree to that, but that 1 out of 10 will help drastically increase my average basket over time. Inventory coverage is another way that folks can use the inventory piece of the retailer tool to gain that competitive advantage. We often see, similar to a lot of retail, but in New York, I've been noticing it a little bit more. You see it a little bit more that a smaller percentage of SKUs is leading to a higher percentage of sales. Luckily, what we haven't seen is a lot of SKUs locked up in the back with no sales at all, like I see in other markets. But as we see more brands coming online, more products coming online, more inventory in the back vault, my goal is to help avoid that with our retail delivery dispensary partners, because we can better hone in on having sort of that that sweet spot of inventory to cover 1 week of supply in this category from this vendor, 2 weeks of supply in this category from this vendor. So using those analytics to better understand your inventory coverage, so you can allot more capital to the average and good performing products and less money spent on those poor performers. Reordering is another way that folks can use headset tools in conjunction with the benchmarking reports to save time and work more collaboratively with their vendors. The original VP of Analytics came from large scale grocery, and this reorder capability and the ability to connect with your brand partners is very similar to like Campbell Soup and Duane Reade, right? Campbell Soup and Duane Reade, they don't need to go back and forth about what a good reorder would look for that week or that month. They're on the same page, looking at the same reports and agreeing on the same reorder in less time than having to go back and forth. So dispensaries and deliveries out there, you can use that reorder report to connect with your brands and lean on them to help you with a suggested reorder based on actual sales velocity. Or you could run reorder reports across all your brands in a category, save that out and better understand. I might think I need this. I might think that this product isn't doing that well, but you'd be surprised when you go in, you might notice that your customers are really loving this product that you thought might not do that well. And you might need to run a reorder based on the velocity of a product moving really, really well, even though it just came in a couple days ago. So we look at the true velocity of product movement, help you forecast out a suggested reorder based on that. So you're not spending too much. Or when I used to bud tend, people would drive real far, and if they came in and their product wasn't there, I took the brunt of that, and they'd go to the store down the street. Not always is there a store down the street in New York yet, but eventually we'll get there. So retaining those customers, increasing those basket size by having the inventory that they prefer, it's key, and we can definitely help with that. Final thing I'll go to before I open it up. Headset, as a cannabis-focused technology company, we've been around since 2015. We provide a lot of tools, but then we also provide a lot of free resources. We provide blogs, industry reports, webinars, podcasts, bestseller lists on our website. So if anyone ever wants to set more time, learn more about retailer, or if you're a brand that wants to learn more about connecting with your retailers or understanding the market to release new products, just give me a shout. I'm pretty easy to reach. I appreciate everyone taking the time to tune in for the presentation today. I'll open it up to questions now. Happy to answer any questions that folks have.
So we did have a question in the chat, and if anyone else has a question, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat. Bradley asked, could you touch on how Headset benefits processors and cultivators if it does?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. So processors and cultivators, we have a few tools, but the main ones that help, it depends on what your goal is. One is called Headset Insights, and then one tool is called Headset Bridge. So I'll start with Bridge. Bridge, in essence, is helping you manage your wholesale across the store and delivery accounts that you move product to. So it's very straightforward. It's being able to connect into the stores you work with, and then you all can run the reorder report that I touched on when it comes to the retailer tool. As a producer, you can run a retailer or a reorder report of just your products. You can't see everyone else's products at that store, but you can dial in with that store so you can be on the same page and provide suggested reorder without so much back and forth. We see, I believe the stat is a 19.6% decrease in out-of-stock events for hot moving products when brands and stores are connected with that Bridge tool. So every dispensary using retailer, whether they're using the free version or the paid version, has the ability to connect to the brand so you all can be more dialed in and just spend less time every week on reorders. So that's the Bridge tool, wholesale management. The Insights tool is used for the producers or producers, packagers. There's a lot of folks that will use Insights. That's a daily updated product level read of the New York market. So I'll use one example. I used to work for a company and I ran post-harvest and sales fulfillment. And we didn't have insights to view what was going on in the market. So we launched a new product. I had some lab product brought in because we were using concentrate along with flour. And we packaged like 9,000 units of this new product with no real view into the daily trends. The first 1,000 moved really well because it was a new product on the market, a pretty good novelty item. The next like 9,000 sat in the vault so long that I actually had to have the packaging teams break it down and repackage it, and it was just a total L. So using insights to better understand if you're going to roll out new products in a category you're already in, if you're going to roll out new brands, if you're going to roll out new product lines in categories you aren't in, if you've released products and you want to track how they're doing in market, if you want to keep an eye out on competitors, say you have different competitors in different areas, like say you're focused on making live resin and you want to look at competition in live resin, or you want to look at overall competitors in the market, you can use insights to do that as well. A lot of producers and cultivators and product manufacturers will use a combination of insights and Bridge. So insights will be to better understand what's going on in the market, to see how we're doing and be ready to hit the ground running with any new products we're launching. So we know what's the best package size, what should our price per gram or milligram be to the store and out the door? Who else is making products? Where are people not making certain flavors of edibles? Where are people not putting out strains of pre-rolls? Those are some ways people use insights, and then they'll use Bridge to manage their wholesale. Because if you have those accounts that you're really dialed in with, obviously you want to keep them stocked consistently. So they'll use insights for product production and Bridge for wholesale management.
In the last few minutes, if anyone has a question, feel free to unmute yourself. I know anecdotally, we've seen a huge increase in sales in New York since the enforcement has ramped up. I know a lot of the retailers have reported upwards of 30% in increase in sales month after month. So it's a really strong metric for how New York is doing as well.
Hey, Rich, I couldn't see when I was presenting, but I see a hand now. Did you have a question? Cool. Well, if anyone has any questions that bubble up, like I said, I'm pretty easy to reach. I love nerding out on this stuff. I'm happy to set up time to go through any headset tools. We've seen what works well, what doesn't work so well, and you know, goals that you can get to really drive more profitability at the retail level. And again, today's focus was on retail, but if any of the producers or product manufacturers out there want to learn more about the insights or Bridge pieces, happy to kind of switch gears and talk about those tools as well. So thank you all so much for taking the time to check out my presentation today.
Thank you, Russ, so much. And just so everyone knows, we will be posting this recorded webinar to our CANY's YouTube page. I dropped my email and Russ's email in the Zoom chat as well. And we really appreciate everyone taking the time to join our webinar today.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.